What's going on, everybody? This is the Drop Daily for June 19th, 2020. We have some new music to tell you about and an interview with a live performance, so stick around. As most of you hopefully know, today is Juneteenth, and Bandcamp will be donating proceeds to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund today. I'm just going to read from their blog post. It says, this coming Juneteenth, June 19th, from midnight to midnight Pacific time, and every Juneteenth hereafter, for any purchase you make on Bandcamp, will be donated 100% of our share of sales to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, a national organization that has a long history of effectively enacting racial justice and change through litigation, advocacy, and public education. We're also allocating an additional $30,000 per year to partner with organizations that fight for racial justice and create opportunities for people of color. I think this is really cool. My wife actually worked at the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, and it's a great organization, and I'm glad that Bandcamp is doing this. Another example of how music can help in this fight for racial justice. All right, another band I want to tell you about that is releasing a new album today, Escaper. We've mentioned this band before. They had a single out a few weeks ago. They have a new album out today called Apotheosis. They're a Brooklyn-based band. They're groovy. They're spacey. They jam. Good songs. And the album's pretty cool, and it's out today. So check that out. I'll put a link in the show notes. And then finally, we have an interview and a live performance. We talked with Grayson Capps, singer-songwriter. He plays a live acoustic tune at the end of our interview, and we're talking about his album that comes out today called South Front Street, which is a 16-song retrospective compiled by his wife, who's a Grammy-winning producer and engineer named Trina Shoemaker. You'll hear him talk about the album and everything that went into it, his influences, his songwriting, a lot about Hurricane Katrina and New Orleans and where some of these songs came from. And then, like I said, he plays us an acoustic tune. So we're going to get into it now. If you're listening to the audio version, I highly suggest that you jump over to the video version so you can see a video performance of the song. But the audio version is really good too. So before we get into it, I mentioned earlier this is Juneteenth. Hopefully people know that celebrates where it came from. It started by a celebration of the ending of slavery in Texas in 1865 and has grown into what's been called the longest running African American holiday. And it's often called America's Second Independence Day, has grown into a real celebration of African American culture and art and music and all sorts of things. And I hope that everyone is aware of that. But in celebration of that, consider making a donation to an organization like Color of Change, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, Campaign Zero, Black Lives Matter, National Bail Fund Network. There's a lot of good organizations doing a lot of good work out there. And we hope you all and that we can be part of the solution. So let's get into this interview with Grayson Capps. We'll see y'all later. All right, I'm here with Grayson Capps coming to us from his lovely backyard in Alabama. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. First question, I've been asking this a lot. How are things going during quarantine as a musician? What have you been doing?
Man, I've been more busy than ever. It's like I'm not used to being home. This is the longest I've been home in 30 years. So my yard looks good. I eat a lot, and I'm having to enter into the 21st century with all this technology because I'm so used to just driving the van, doing the tactile, load in, load out, talk to people, hug people, sweat. So it's been a learning curve for sure, and looks like I'm gonna start doing podcasts like you.
Have you been writing a lot of new stuff, playing a lot of music in addition to everything else?
I have. Well, I've been doing these kind of pop-up live streams on Facebook, and I started a Patreon page where I'm doing weird stuff and kind of showing my writing process. And but I have to play. I mean, being a musician is like being an athlete. It's like use it or lose it. So I have to. I've got a catalog. Maybe 120 songs that I keep in rotation, and if I don't play them often, they go away. And so that's why I do these. This is my little shack. If you see any live,
that's
usually
awesome.
Inside or outside that I'm live streaming from.
It's nice to have that.
It is. That's necessary. It's my sacred space.
Understood. I'm in the process of building one of those here at our house we just moved into, and I can't wait to have it. Just a place
Man,
to go.
I just got rebuilt. It was somebody had it, it was cheap because it was a repo.
Oh wow.
Built thing, and it was they installed it and bolted it down, and I just started adding stuff to it. So it's pretty easy to get one, just those little rebuilt
Yeah,
things.
that's awesome, man. Well, let's talk a little bit about the music because today, when this comes out, is the release of South Front Street, which is described as a retrospective. And I know that I want to talk about some of the songs on there, but it was all sort of compiled. There it is.
One of the only pictures of South Front Street around that time that exists. It was off some old camera I found.
Nice. That's awesome. It's a cool cover. And I know that your wife, who people probably have heard of, Trina, has done a lot of producing and helped put this together. Tell us why you're doing this now and how the album came together.
Oh man, well, it's okay. It started with Hurricane Katrina. We had to move out of New Orleans, and our son was 6 months old. We boxed everything up, moved to Tennessee for a little while, and then came back here. And I still had boxes, like up until 6 months ago that I had not even looked at since Hurricane Katrina. And I started going through them, and Trina Shoemaker, my wife, was kind of going through stuff with me, and we realized that we were human beings before having a child, before all this mayhem happened, and we started rediscovering ourselves and our paths that crossed so many times in New Orleans, because we lived in New Orleans at the same time. We knew the same people. We were working at the same studios, and it just sparked something in Trina, to tell a story, and she did this herself. It's something ignited in her to compile songs from then until now in a segue that makes sense to join my past life with my present life. And it's finally like tying a bunch of loose ends together after all these years, because Katrina was a nightmare, and it was so weird to just catch up with my old self, and through that Trina was catching up with her old self or young self. The story of both of our journeys through life since Katrina, I suppose.
That's amazing. So you had basically a newborn during Katrina, and you had to get out of there.
Yeah, Waylon, my son Waylon was 6 months old, and it was
Wow.
no be at that time. But his first 6 years of life was on 11 acres of land in Franklin, Tennessee, with a creek and a cave in the backyard. He could run naked through the field. So that was pleasant and nice too.
Yeah, not bad. So your wife has worked with lots of artists, Sheryl Crow, Indigo Girls, Queens of the Stone Age, and she said in an interview that I just saw that this is the most important record I will ever make and have ever made. I won't ever do anything cooler than this. So how does that sort of sit with you?
I can understand it because of what I just mentioned about us tying our young lives together. I mean, because she's been on this journey with me. Oh boy. I mean, she never met me. I had a daughter with another woman, and so she met me when I was already a father. And I think she got to discover me through my opening these boxes as a man free, and an artist free of children and free of any burdens like that. And so it ignited that in her. And so we've been on our journey for 16 years, 16, 17 years. And so there's a lot in it, because, she recorded most of the songs on this record, but she discovered songs that I recorded before I met her. And it's funny because she remixed a lot of the songs that she did to kind of reach the standards of what I did earlier, because it had a certain sound. And for her to say that means a hell of a lot to me, because I mean, she's currently working on, Rodney Crowell, Indigo Girls, Wood Brothers, and so I'm always inspired by her, and thankful for her to light me.
That's cool. I think the 16 songs, I got a chance to listen to them. I mean, they flow well, but they do feel like they come from different times, different perspectives, but it all works together.
Yeah, and that was the idea, to kind of, glue some stuff together, and make cohesion of chaos.
Yeah. is I feel like I had some interpretation of the kind of themes that you communicate about in your songs being relevant right now, in this various global crises that we're dealing with. Do you hear any of these songs differently now that you're like living in like you said, a different life for the first time in 30 years?
I do, but a lot of these songs came out of the panic of Hurricane Katrina, and I think because of that, it translates to the craziness that's going on now, and with the pandemic, and politically too. I mean, nothing's changed, and I think one thing I learned early on is, if you speak truth about a situation, that that truth will transcend time and space, and you can apply it to different situations. So to answer your question, the songs do ring differently to me now. I can apply them to today, but I think the reason is because I've always gone through some kind of turmoil.
Mm-hmm.
It's having to face it and get through it is what songs do for me.
Yeah. What do you think, like, for your fans and fans of your music? I mean, what do you hope that people take away from this album when they get to hear it?
Um, I hope they can disappear for a little while and come out with hope and empathy, and clarity. Because a lot of these songs dive into dark places, but they come out in light places at the end, and so it's a journey. I hope, and I hope you get the vinyl too, because it sounds so good on vinyl. The first vinyl done that I did right through my friend Chad Cassim up in Salina. He has one of the biggest vinyl pressing plants in the world. It's called Acoustic Sounds. And I never listened to him. He said, "Dude, you got to do the vinyl up here, dude." And, he would play my old vinyl compared to his vinyl. I'm like, oh, all right, I understand. Because, I mean, his big clients now are, Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin. If you got re-releases of that, that's where they're coming from, Salina, Kansas, of all places.
Amazing. So it sounds pretty good.
So the vinyl, this thing was, I mean, it sounds great on CD, but it was the first record I've done that really aimed at vinyl heads, or whatever you call it.
Yeah. A lot of those people are listening and watching, and so I hope people check it out. Well, would you mind playing us a song from the album?
I would love to. I want to play a song that it's my song to save the world.
All right.
Human world. From an old boy in Alabama. It's called May We Love. Wanna sing your song, son. You wanna tell your dreams. From boyhood to manhood. all points in between. From the ditches of Alabama, to the Norwegian fjords, to the ones whom you love, ones you do deplore. Hear my plea, hear my plea, hear my hopes for you and me. Let go of your notions of simple space and time. Don't get jailed by emotions. Empty out your mind. I know you're worried about money, but it's all gonna be okay. Just do what you love, love every day. Hear my plea, hear my plea, hear my hopes for you and me. Don't speak to me of God, and don't speak to me of war. If you can't speak of peace, don't speak to me no more. My eyes have seen the light. The light has made me dark, like a candle in a cave, with no end and no start. Hear my plea, hear my plea, hear my hopes for you and me. May we all join hands and lay down our arms and harmonize. Breathe as one, and may we love, 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 may we love. What's our common thread? What's our neutral ground? Whether you living in the country or you living in town, we're all here on this planet, third stone from the sun. I'll lay down my Bible if you lay down your gun. Hear my plea, hear my plea, hear my hopes for you and me. May we all join hands, lay down our arms, and harmonize. Breathe as one. May we all join hands, lay down our arms, harmonize. Breathe as one. And may we love, may we love, 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 may we love. Got the birds in there.
Beautiful. Yeah, I couldn't know. I didn't know if you could tell how well the birds were complimenting there.
I know they came in on the chorus pretty good. So.
That was really good. Thank you for sharing that. Can you hold up that album cover one more time for people to see?
So here's the cover, and look, if you open it up like this, whoa, let me see if it's
nice.
Wait, and then one thing that's cool, when I was going through that box, I found my eviction notice from my South Front Street house.
Wow.
And that's me around that time, right on the Mississippi River.
Uh-huh.
That's me out in the field.
Really cool.
That's so, yeah, anyway. So in Trina's little essay.
Uh-huh.
So anyway,
cool. That's really cool, man. Congrats on getting it together. I know this is I hope that people check it out, and it's called South Front Street, and it comes out today, June 19th. That's exciting.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining us too. It was fun to talk to you.
Well, it's fun talking with you too, and thanks for my popping my Zoom cherry.
We're here whenever you want to come back.
All right, cool, man.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. Take it easy.
Okay.
Bye bye.